For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com. And like all those people who have a YouTube channel, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Subscribe. Support me. Click subscribe. They tell me to do that. I don't ask you to subscribe enough. I don't have that desperation to ask you to subscribe over and over again. But I do have 30 minutes to rant and rave to you this week, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to talk about the Mueller report, Mueller Day, Mueller time, Mueller hearing, Mueller testimony, everything that was trending on Wednesday. Again, me being a Canadian, absolutely you want to hear my opinion on the whole Mueller-Trump battle. And so I'm going to chime in on that. I'm also going to give you an update about how you can hear The Scribble on your Air Canada flight. That's a really big deal for us. I'm really excited about it. I'll have those details in just a bit. Also, handwriting. When you have to print, leave a note, make notes for yourself. If you're in a meeting and you're taking notes not on a computer, can you still read what you write? Does your hand cramp up super early on nowadays? I'll tell you why I ask in just a bit. And also, birthdays. My birthday is coming up, and it's not a milestone birthday, but I do have some thoughts as we get older. Do you celebrate your birthday more? Do you downplay it? Do you disregard it altogether? Some thoughts about birthdays coming up, all right? So all of this and a little bit more coming at you on The Scribble this week, and it kicks off right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Yeah, I don't normally talk politics on this show, but this whole Robert Mueller testimony thing that happened on Wednesday. Okay, so again, full disclosure, I'm a Canadian, so I really don't care the fighting that the politicians are having in the United States. Now, again, I do spend a lot of time in the country because of our radio shows. Our audience is largely American. But I found it quite interesting that there was like this big countdown, right? The countdown was on. And if you watch CNN, right, you know that it'll have like the thing in the bottom corner that's showing you, oh, live coverage starts, blah, 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 blah. So for me, it was interesting because the hashtags, Mueller time, Mueller day, Mueller testimony, Mueller hearing, all of them were trending on Wednesday. And I understand the story. I get, the investigation and looking into the collusion / corruption / all that jazz, looking into the Trump campaign administration, what have you. I get it, and I've had it for about 2-3 years, right? That's how long it's been playing out. But for me, it was very interesting and bizarre, really bizarre, that people were into the night before and the next morning, like on Wednesday morning, people were excited and waiting for scandalous details about the president. And I thought that's so strange. I would almost hope that nothing new, that there would be no revelation if that's my country. And I get that people don't like him. I get the whole thing. I get that. But what I'm saying is it's like you're rooting for failure. You're rooting for there to be proof that he's screwing you over. Like, to me, I would go into it thinking, you know what? I hope there's nothing. I really hope there's nothing. It'll put me at ease, whatever. But instead, I guess the term is nothing burger, from what I understand these days. And so I'm kind of like first, yeah, you're on the edge of your seat, you're waiting, you're wanting this bombshell, and then there's going to be disappointment when there isn't one. Oh, darn, I was hoping that there would have been da-da-da-da-da-da-da about him. That's my country, though. Why would I hope that there would be a scandal uncovered? And again, you can say, oh, bitter Hillary supporter. I got that, by the way, a lot. Every time I would tweet a comment shortly after the election, and actually for a good year after the election, people would just rip into me on Twitter that I'm a bitter Hillary supporter. And then I would just say, like, I'm Canada. I don't care. We don't... Yeah, it's Canada, U.S., America, like two different, no. And so this whole Mueller thing, it was like, okay, and it ended up being that, every TV network was covering it. People were just sitting and watching, for 7 hours. To me, that's just incredibly depressing that, like, okay, for the entire work day, I'm just waiting to hear how bad my leader is, and okay, fine, yeah, I knew it, yeah, he did something wrong. I don't know. To me, it's a sigh of relief if there's nothing new uncovered. And again, why would there be this countdown of, how many weeks and how many days? And yeah, it's very, very bizarre. Anyway, so tell me your thoughts if you were caught up with this whole Mueller time thing. Mueller, depending on how you say his name. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble, and I've got to tell you some really exciting news that by August 1st, you will be able to hear one of our episodes on Air Canada flights. Now, you know how airplanes have that in-flight entertainment unit? A lot of them do. I think a lot of them now are sort of like pulling out and you've got to use your own phone or tablet. But usually there's like the TV in the seat in front of you. Well, on Air Canada, beginning August 1st, you can hear a special edition of the Scribble podcast. You remember that we had taped in Disney World in Orlando, Florida for Dreams Take Flight. The Air Canada Foundation has this charity where kids get to fly from Canada to a Disney property and back all in one day. Well, I've been a media guest of that for probably about 5, 6, maybe even 7 years now. And this year, I had gone along again and chatted with Air Canada, and we arranged that I would tape a special edition of the show there, and it would be available on flights this summer. So, this is probably like the coolest, biggest distribution that we've ever had for the podcast, and you can hear it when you are flying with Air Canada. Now, if you're not flying Air Canada, you can actually still go to dreams.jbonair.com and check out all of the web content. And if you have subscribed to the Scribble, you can also get it on iTunes or what is it, Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud and all those other places too. So it was the one that was taped back in April. So our special edition of the Scribble for Dreams Take Flight is available on your Air Canada flights beginning August 1st. And it's really, 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 really a big deal, and it's incredible, and we're so excited, and I love it. I love Air Canada. I love Dreams Take Flight, and so I hope you do tune in and support the cause. I don't get behind very many causes, but this is one that I really enjoy. And again, what happens is we go to the airport at about 2, 3 in the morning. The kids are super excited. They get on the plane. A lot of them, this is their first time going on a plane. This is the first time even being away from their parents. The parents don't come, by the way. The parents stay back. And there's groups of volunteers that escort and chaperone these kids. So we fly to, in my case, we go from Winnipeg, Manitoba to Orlando for Disney World. If you're on the West Coast, you go to Disneyland in California. And so we get there at about 10, 11 in the morning. The kids have a good 7, 8 hours on the rides, and they get lunch, and they, sometimes get a chance to go shopping and buy some Disney souvenirs. Go back on the plane at about 8 p.m., fly back. It's the quietest. It's the most loud. It's the loudest flight you've ever been on going down there. On the way home, quietest flight you could ever be on. And then we get home a little bit after midnight. So it's literally 24 hours, but it is a once-in-a-lifetime trip for these kids. And coincidentally, this year, what's interesting is that I have been it's called a reading buddy. I've been a reading buddy at one of the local elementary schools every other Tuesday. It's not every week. And I'm also not in town a lot, so it's hard for me to commit to that. But I do go to the school and read with some of the kids. And coincidentally, some of them were on the Dreams Take Flight trip this year. And even more coincidentally, they were in the group that I was paired up with. I'm not one of the chaperones or escorts for the kids. I'm sort of a fly on the wall, and they pair me up with some kids who are really chatty and really animated. And two of them actually go to the school. They weren't part of the reading that I would do. And so it was also a full circle moment at the end of the school year. We were there for a book presentation for the school, and I was standing just outside the gym. And one of the kids came out, and he said that he saw me from across the way, and so he came and he wanted to say hi. I was surprised that he remembered me, and he's like, "Oh, you came back to see us?" I said, "Well, I've been coming to your school like for the past however many months," and so it was nice to connect with him. I was quite surprised that he remembered that, and so it really did make me think, hey, you know what? This day is really something for these kids. It is something that sticks with them. So, yeah. Anyway, so you can hear the special edition of the Scribble on your Air Canada flights. Check it out. Would love to hear your thoughts on it, and then welcome to any new people who have decided to subscribe to the podcast from that. All right. Thanks so much. We're going to continue chatting right after this.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
JB here, back on the Scribble. I'm a writer, right? I'm a best-selling author, but I actually consider myself a typist. Writer, and I'm doing the action with my hands, you can't see it, but take my word for it, is, a writer is somebody who writes, but in the grand scheme of things, it's usually somebody who works with a pen and a piece of paper, right? Or pencil or whatever, and your handwriting is typically the traditional meaning for it. Now, for me, I make notes all the time in meetings, right? And even then, now I just looked at a page of my notes. We had a meeting the other day, and I'm looking at it going, this is really it's taking me a long time to sort of decode it. But in the moment, I'm writing it very fast, right? You're writing quickly because it's, it's what somebody said or what the outcome was, and then we're moving on to the next topic, so I've got to jot it fast. And then I can't read it. And I thought, okay, well, it's because I'm rushing. Well, then I go and actually make notes. I'm traveling again soon, so I was making a list of things that I needed to get or do or whatever it was. And even then, it's a few words, and I'm like, does that say deodor? What do I have to get, though? And yeah, so I blamed rushing for it, but now I think it's just, we're so used to typing. I can type a mile a minute, don't get me wrong. I'm a very, very fast typist, but writing. And then there was one time where I was making notes after a meeting, so it wasn't in the moment, and I ended up writing almost about half a page. And by then, my wrist was like, I had to stop writing because it was like cramping up and it was sore. I couldn't believe it. And I thought, wow, I remember back in the day, again, being a kid, when I would write short stories in school. Now, again, we're going back to grade 6 or 7 when we did we have computer? We had computers, but the creative writing course was in a classroom with pens and paper, with a notepad, a scribbler, we called it, right? Hence the name, the Scribble. I could write pages and pages and keep going. And then I would get that little lump on my, I guess it's my ring finger on my right-hand side. Do you still call it a ring finger on your right-hand side, even though that's not the marriage hand? And don't even get me started about that, where it's like that's the international I'm married symbol is I wear a ring on that finger on the left. But anyway, then I'd get that little lump, and then I'd have to go and buy, I remember my mom showed me, she's a teacher, she showed me that little rubber thing you can put on your pen or pencil that kind of rests up against it so you don't get that lump. That's not quite a blister. Do you know what I'm talking about? See, if you're a kid nowadays, you probably don't know because you don't write that much, right? But people my age would know it. And again, I'm looking at my hand as though I'm handwriting, so... Anyway, can you understand what you write? Are you a good writer these days? Or is it just like chicken scratch and you're like, yeah, I'd rather just type stuff? How often do you handwrite notes or anything like that? Send me an email. Tell me. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. Let's talk birthdays for a second. Mine is coming up. I don't make a big deal about it. It's not one of the milestone birthdays. It's not 30, 40, 18, 21, whatever it might be where you live. Like, legal age in Canada where I'm from is 18, so that was kind of a big birthday. But even then, and again, back in the day, that was typically the first time that you would go to the bar and have drinks, is when you turned 18. Well, I started doing that out at the lake. We started drinking early. We were early teens. Or mid-teens, let's say. Sorry, not early teens. Well, either way. And so when you turned 18, there was really, you'd go to the bar because it was the place to go and, like, dance, right? Nightclubs were a big thing. I don't know that they're still popular nowadays, but anyway, I'm also just old. I'm turning 37. So when I turned 18, it wasn't really a big, like, drinking to me was not a big deal, right? Because I'd already been doing it. And so then when you have the milestone birthdays of, let's say, 25, people might consider that to be a milestone, certainly 30. And I got the whole typical, like, oh, over the hill, old man. And it's always precious when it's coming from people who are older than you. So I never quite understood that. You've got somebody who's like 40-something making fun of you on your 30th birthday. It's like, well, yeah, remember that this was you, a long time ago. So that's that. And again, I'm not like, you can make jokes all you want. Like, I don't care. And this is cliche, but I'm one of those people who it's like, I don't feel that old. I don't look that old. Like, age is just a number, as people say. And that's really what it is. And so when I turned, again, 35 was sort of the same thing. And it's not a big deal to me. And even then, when you go to the restaurant and whoever you're with, if it's like your family or whatever, they'll on the side be like, it's his birthday today. So, you get the free dessert, right? That's generally what happens. Then there's going to be the singing, which is meant to embarrass you. And again, for me, I'm just not embarrassed about things like that. And if anything, actually, I would say to people before we get to the restaurant, like, I'm not going to eat the dessert, so like, don't even bother. That's really the reason why I don't want you to tell them it's my birthday, because they're going to bring this to me and then I'm going to look like an ungrateful dick because I don't eat the dessert. I'm not a dessert person. And so I always just kind of feel now, as I'm getting older, like I said, 37, that I don't need the attention. I don't want the attention. My mom will call and say, well, hey, do you want to, well, we can go for dinner. Where do you want to go for dinner? Anywhere, it's fine. Like, I don't, and again, it sounds cliche. Well, I just want to spend time with my parents, which is totally not true. But anyway, so do you feel as you're getting older, you're celebrating your birthday more, or is it just less important to you? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Now, it's just one of my dogs walked by me. I can tell you that as they get older, I'm celebrating more and more birthdays. So maybe that's a little bit different then. I don't have children, so I can just compare it to dogs. But absolutely, when my dog turns 10 and 11 and 12, every one of those is a milestone birthday. And we do celebrate those at the office we do go a little bit all out with cake and decorations and party hats and things like that. But I think we've spent more money on my dog birthdays than my own in the past few years. But anyway, that's just something different. So no, I don't really care too much about my birthday. And you remember when you were younger, you probably knew the day of the week your birthday fell on well in advance. I would always know that mine generally was August long weekend in Canada, which was the first Monday, right? First Monday of the month in August was usually a long weekend. And for me, what that meant was, one, most people would be out of town. Two, we would be out of town. We would be out at the lake at my parents' place. So never did I have a chance really to celebrate my actual birthday with friends from school. And of course, when I was growing up, we didn't have Facebook and social media that we were in contact with each other. Unless your friends, lived close by, either on your street or the next block over, you didn't really see them all summer, right? Because you just didn't. And so, I didn't see everybody until September when school started again, but I would always see our friends out at the lake or our neighbors or whoever there. And so for me, that was kind of my birthday. I always just sort of knew, I wasn't really seeing my friends. And there weren't many kids when we were out at the lake, so when you're 8, 9, 10 and you're celebrating your birthday with adults all the time, it was kind of like, oh, okay. So I never really did appreciate. I guess I didn't really appreciate my birthday because you just don't. And because it was adults. It wasn't like, oh, okay. So then when I get older, I just don't celebrate it anymore. Again, we do something very low-key. And I think now the most impersonal thing is all those messages that you get on Facebook. And again, that's one of those things that plays out that you sort of lay low all day. You let the collection of posts come up, and then at night or whatever it is, you thank everybody. And some people will wait till the next morning. But, there's that whole political thing that you just, you wait to do it. And you don't just go and say at noon, okay, thanks everybody for the wishes. You got to wait for the stragglers to come in too. Again, I don't give two craps about social media. So for me, and I think that there's probably, if you look back, there's probably some years where I haven't thanked everybody. So I probably do look like an ungrateful jerk, but whatever. Tell me about your birthdays. Live at jbonair.com, live at jbonair.com. And one of the interesting things, though, as I've become a little bit older, is that with the radio shows, sometimes we end up having to tape our summer travel programming over my birthday, either my birthday weekend or whatever. This year, my birthday is not on that long weekend, so, or wasn't, I guess, depending on when you're listening. No, it wasn't. And, I remember when I turned 30, coincidentally, we were in Nova Scotia, and it was a special moment, and I would say that I wasn't with family, I was away. And again, the milestone birthday for me, I didn't really care. And when I'm in work mode, I was focused on that. We were doing segments, every day we were zipping around the province over the course of about 4 days or so. And my birthday was celebrated in Nova Scotia. Not with people I didn't know. These are people that I just, met there. They were hosting us in different fashions, whether it was in their home or on different activities and excursions. And I have to say that was probably one of the most special birthdays because we were staying at a cottage on the Bay of Fundy. There was a husband and wife couple that have they have a house, and then they owned a rental house, like a cottage. And the tourism board had said, it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's really nice. It's scenic views. You're going to do, you're going to haul lobster traps with them. You're going to go clamming, as they said there. And I was kind of ignorant to it at the beginning, going, this is where I'm spending my really? All right. And I have to say, with the 2 days with them, we became so close. The first night when we got there, I've told this story before, so it's not like I'm making fun of these people. They were so genuine and so nice and so warm to me. We got there in the afternoon, and these people, if you remember the show The Beverly Hillbillies, these people came out of the house as we arrived, very similar to how that happened. I think it was at the end of The Beverly Hillbillies, right, where they come out down the steps and they wave. That's sort of what this was like. The dog comes out, their grandson comes out, the husband and wife couple, their son comes out. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I don't want to be here. I didn't think it was going to be this rural. And being a city slicker that I am, that was sort of not what I wanted. And that night, the first night there, we ended up having so much fun. We did like a fish fry kind of a thing. I don't know how many bottles of wine we went through. And almost instantly, it was like a Nova Scotia, an East Coast kitchen party is what we were kind of having. And then we went to bed in the rental cottage, and then we had, breakfast the next morning and lunch, and then we went clamming, and we did a barbecue at the cottage the next day, and we cooked food for the family and their neighbors and whatever. And I have to say, it was like the warmest birthday reception that I ever had. They got me, it was a cake made of cupcakes. I don't know if you've seen those kinds of things. So it was a lobster cake made of cake made of cupcakes. And we had a guy playing the guitar, and we were singing, and I was dancing with the woman, the grandma, and it was just so genuinely fun and loving and warm. And so that's probably my most memorable birthday in recent years. So 7 years ago, when we were doing the travel shows in Nova Scotia. Again, not something that I had, sought out, but it ended up just being a really cool time. So again, tell me your birthday stories live at jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Thank you very much, Larson. And this is awkward. I'm not going to lie to you. We have about 5 minutes left, and I have nothing else on the lineup to talk to you about. So this is called vamping now for the next 5 minutes. It's going to be painful. We'll see how much of a radio professional or broadcasting professional I am. With the Bachelorette finale coming up, this will be tricky. I will be out of the country. I will be out of Canada. I will be out of Mexico. I'll be out of Canada. I'll be out of the United States. I will be in Mexico. There we go. I just gave it away, everybody. We're taping our summer travel shows in Mexico. Spoiler alert. And again, not that anybody... I realize that not one of you cares what I'm doing every minute of the day, and us broadcasting from Mexico is not like people have been counting, like we don't have the CNN clock counting until JB does the big reveal of the summer destination. I realize that. I totally get it. But we hadn't announced where we were going and where we were broadcasting from. And we do that actually quite a bit, where I think we were in Panama. We were already in Panama and back by the time we had announced that our Christmas programming last year was coming at you from Panama. And so I totally just ruined it, and that's what happens when I don't have talking points and I just have to wing it, is yes, we will be in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico for our summer travel programming that we're taping next in a few days. And so that's where I will be during the Bachelorette finale. And it's interesting because we work with tourism boards when we do these travel shows, and often they'll ask you, do you have any food allergies, any whatever, right? Because back in the day, nobody had food allergies, really, for the most part. You might have had one person, and now when you're on the airplane, there is a passenger with a peanut allergy. So please don't have anything peanuts for the next 4 hours as you're flying. Anyway, so they ask me, and I've worked with the tourism board for many years now. This is not our first trip there. And they want to know if you have any dietary restrictions. That's the word. That's the term that they use. And I always say no, but this year in particular, I do have a requirement, not food-related, is that the Bachelorette finale is airing while we are there. So again, as you're listening to this, I might already be in Mexico, and my birthday might have already passed by the time you're listening to this. And I said, I need to have a TV that has ABC. And so if the resort that we're staying at does not have ABC, I can't stay there on Monday and Tuesday night. Like, you guys need to find me a TV with ABC. And I said, I realize that you probably have some really strange requests and demands from journalists or, the media that you bring in here. Unfortunately, I have a contractual obligation. I do need to have ABC or some channel that broadcasts The Bachelorette in English. That's kind of the end game. And so apparently they have made it work for me. They've hooked me up. The resort has like satellite TV or whatever in the rooms. So I had them check it out. I need somebody to either call there or go there and make sure ABC, and the East Coast feed as well, by the way. It can't be the West Coast one. So it's just the troubles of my life, right? That nobody knows the trouble I've seen is what they say. So anyway, tell me your Puerto Vallarta stories if you have gone there. Like I said, we have gone there several times, so it's nothing new for me. But what did you do there? Tell me about the good times that you had. Obviously, you went to the beach, I would hope, if you were there. A lot of people go on those boat cruises because there's the great sunset. I mean, if you have not seen it in person or pictures of it, definitely it's worth checking out. And I can't tell you anything about what we're doing. I guess I could if you were to email me live at jbonair.com and tell me about what you've done there and maybe ask me a question if I have done that too or something. I probably could. But no, we're not allowed to talk about the itinerary at this point. But you'll have to stay tuned for that. It's our summer programming, as we head into August. I don't know that it's... I don't know when it airs on the radio or here on the podcast, so you'll just have to stay tuned. But certainly we've gone to PV many times. You can check out the web content, pv.jbonair.com, which is where we had our 10th anniversary radio broadcast. They hosted us 3 years ago when we had our 10th anniversary. It was so cool to go back. And then from there, I think it links through to our other Mexican visits as well. Mexico.jbonair.com, which you hear on a commercial on the podcast here. So looking forward to it. So yes, happy birthday to me, which is coming up. And we are going to have, I believe, a birthday edition of the podcast and radio show. And I think some celebrity guests are coming your way in August as well. Again, feel free to give me a shout anytime. It's always awesome hearing from you. Live at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com. So you didn't think I could vamp and fill 5 minutes? Ha, 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 ha. I did. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Remember to subscribe if you like what you heard. Talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat